Hey guys, my name is Tamara and welcome back to my channel. Every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday I post a review called Did You See That Shit? And today is Wednesday, so you know what that means. It's all about Riverdale. Last week's episode was entitled Tales from the Darkside, and let me tell you, this episode was so good and so weird at the same time. But before we get into this recap, let me say this. Please subscribe to this channel where I post 4 days a week, and also follow me on all my social media links, my Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram. All the links will be down below. And on Wednesdays, I actually live tweet during Riverdale, so please check that out if you not follow me on Twitter. Kind of hilarious, just saying. So let's get into this. So this episode was separated into 3 stories. You had Jughead and Archie's, Betty and Veronica, and Josie's story. So all of them entangled with each other. So this was just so good. So let's start with Jughead and Archie, since they were the first story out the gate. So the episode opens up with everyone reading this letter that was left on Pop's front door, talking about that y'all got basically 48 hours to show me that I shouldn't be killing y'all asses. Jughead and Betty are just laying in bed and discussing like how the hell did the Black Hood get into the police station, because at the end of the Candyman was actually killed in the jail cell. So Betty's like, what the fuck, how the hell did he get into the damn police station? Jughead gets a phone call, so he goes to pick up the phone call, and lo and behold is Penny Peabody. Sketchy as fuck. So Penny tells Jughead to meet her at Pop. She tells Jughead that, hey, your dad just got his ass whooped up in jail by the ghoulies and we need to raise some money so he can get the fuck out. And Jughead says, hey, I only got $18 to my name, so like how can I get the money so I can get my dad out? So Penny's like, okay, you can do this one odd job. This will be my favor from you. It's this crate that you have to take to Greendale, and you gotta do it before midnight because you do not want to be there after midnight. And so Jughead enlists Archie because, hey, he doesn't have a car, all he has is his motorcycle. They go. Archie is sitting there like, oh, how are you gonna escape the freaking serpents? And I'm all like, Archie, shut the fuck up. I'm sorry to say that, but shut the fuck up. And Jughead's like, I don't know, I'm trying to figure all that shit out. So they end up getting a flat tire, and at first Jughead's like, hey, let's call Betty because she knows shit about cars, and Archie's like, hell no, you is not bringing Betty up in this shit. So end up this old man comes and is like, hey, what you got? They're just like, I got a flat tire. And before the old man even shows up, Archie's like, maybe I could call Triple C. I'm all like, is this supposed to be the equivalent of AAA? So this old man, he's like, okay, well, how much money you got? And of course Jughead's like, well, I only got $18 to my name. So the man says, well, I only got room for one of y'all and the crate. Jughead volunteers for himself to go, and Archie's like, what the fuck? No, you can't go by yourself. But Jughead just says, it's okay, I got this. So Jughead and this old man goes, and the old man's just sitting there like, that redhead dude looked like Jason Blossom, and just talking about some creepy old shit. This episode was just riddled with old people, creepy old people at that, especially in Jughead and Archie's story. Just saying. Jughead and the old man stops at a gas station and they go to eat, and the old man is telling Jughead about this old person that used to kill people back in the day, basically like the Zodiac killer. So the bill comes and this old man's like, he'll pay for it. Jughead like, oh hell no, sir, like what the fuck, bruh, I gave you my last $18. And I was like, pause, you're the only one that was eating. Jughead wasn't even eating anything. He probably had like a cup of water or a cup of coffee. He didn't even eat. So what the fuck? And before they even get to the freaking diner, because the man was like, hey, don't look under the tarp in the back of my truck. And of course Jughead, nosy as hell, peeks under the damn tarp, and it ends up being a dead deer. So, you know, all of a sudden, while they're in the diner trying to eat and, you know, leave, he's like, I'ma leave and I'ma take the crate with me too. And Jughead's like, the hell you are? And I would have been like, bruh, you got me fucked up, okay? Captain Save-A-Ho, Archie, comes and was like, what's going on? The old man's like, these two are sinners. And I'm all like, bruh, you a damn sinner trying to steal some shit. Shut up. They end up leaving. The man leaves. Archie comes because they got the car fixed. So they go and meet up with this creepy old lady and drops off this crate. So then Archie and Jughead leaves and goes back to Pops, and they're discussing like, okay, what the fuck just happened tonight? And Jughead is trying to basically spend time with Archie, but Archie gives him some excuses like he got to go take Moose to physical therapy, and then he has to have dinner with Veronica and her parents, and Jughead's like, well damn, don't even want to spend time with me. Bye. Jughead's like, okay, well, I gotta go meet up with my dad in the morning anyway. It's cool. So he goes to visit his dad in jail, and lo and behold, his face is still all fine and stuff, because FP is fine, just saying. He didn't get beat up. So of course Jughead goes to Penny and is like, bruh, like what the fuck? He's fine. She tells him straight up, you gonna collect the debt that your dad owes me because your dad not keep a promise. And I'm all like, bitch, are you serious? Josie's story opened up with her at night at the school, and I'm just like, girl, do you not know it's a killer on the loose? Like, you're just like, I'm just gonna stay after. And then the janitor comes in and is like, hey, you gonna be all right by yourself? And she's like, yeah, I'm fine. She goes home and her mom is like, you're late and you know it's a killer on the loose. It's a curfew, right? Josie's like, oh mom, I'm fine. I don't need a bodyguard. So the next day at school, her and Cheryl is walking in the hallways and they're discussing that Josie has an opportunity to basically go solo. Josie is kind of fearful because like she haven't told the other pussycats, and so she feels hella bad. And Cheryl's like, well, you have this opportunity, it's yours. So she opens her locker and lo and behold, it's a freaking bear that says, I'm watching you. And that's fucking creepy as fuck. And Cheryl's just like, oh, it's your secret admirer. I would be like, no, this is a fucking stalker. This ain't no secret admirer. Fuck that. Josie goes into the music room again and she's singing by herself, and lo and behold, Chuck Clayton. And he's trying to ask her out and she's like, bruh, nah. So another night of her staying out, you know, this time she really gets creeped. Chuck basically saves her. So this time she asks him to take her home. But before he takes her home, they stop at Pop's and basically go on a date. So Chuck is telling her that he's trying to change. He's starting to go to church and he wanna start focusing on his artistic side, which I think in the comics, the Chuck version in the comics is a comic writer. I think that's what they said, but I don't know. He's trying to be a better person, and of course Josie ain't buying it. She's like, nah, he ain't trying to be good. And then Pops come over and it's like, oh, it was nice seeing you in church on Sunday. You should bring this one. And she's like, what? Did you just set that up? And he's like, nah, I ain't that good. Some music come on and they start dancing, and her mom comes in and is like, you're basically in here doing the jitterbug when I tried to call your ass. And then Chuck is like, hold on, Miss McCoy, I was gonna take her home, don't worry. And she's like, I don't want you nowhere near my daughter. So go home, and Mayor McCoy finally admits that, hey, I've been getting death threats, and the last death threat was geared towards you, so you need to watch your back and you need to come home when I ask your ass to. The pussycats confronted her because they end up finding out that she's basically going solo. And of course she's like, no, it's not like that, but you do have an opportunity. And a lot of people were, when I was watching their recaps and their reviews of the episode, a lot of people didn't understand where the pussycat was coming from. And for me, I got where they were coming from. Because if you're in a group and then all of a sudden someone wants to go solo, you get upset because it's like, if we're supposed to be a team, then you need to discuss it with us. Or at least you don't need to, but it will be a common courtesy to discuss it with us. We're putting all this effort for you, and then all of a sudden you just go off and do something else. That's fucked up. So the next day, Cheryl and Josie are discussing that, the fact that Josie went on a date with Chuck Clayton, which of course Cheryl does not approve of. And so they go back into the music room and they find a box and a piece of paper. And on the paper it says, if I can't have you, nobody can. And it's a drawing of Josie, which was really good, just saying. And then she opens the box and it's a fucking pig heart. And we're like, what the fuck? And so Cheryl is like, it's Chuck. It has to be Chuck. I'm like, I mean, Chuck may be an asshole when it comes to, you know, being misogynistic and shit. I don't think he'll carve up a heart heart and shit. I'm just saying, okay? So Cheryl and Josie goes and confronts Chuck. What kind of sick joke is this shit? And Chuck's like, I didn't do that. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. The janitor comes and is like, what's going on? What happened? And Cheryl's like, this sick ass motherfucker left a pig's heart in the fucking music room geared towards Josie. Okay, this is creepy. Chuck is like denying it, of course, and then the janitor's like, is this true, Josie? And she's like, at first she didn't want to say yeah, but she's just like, yeah, it's true. I would have been like, nah bruh, like I don't know who the fuck it is. It may be him, it may be somebody else, I don't know, but somebody left me a fucking pig's heart. So then of course Josie is freaking the fuck out, so she goes home and she's being comforted by her mom, and Sheriff Keller is like, you know, we don't have any evidence against Chuck, and we, you know, raided his locker and been checking all his stuff, and I mean, it's nothing that proves that it was him. Of course, Mayor McCoy is like, well, I believe my daughter. So after all this happened between Chuck, Josie, Cheryl, Josie has a dream that she gets killed by the Black Hood. She wakes up and then it cuts to Cheryl. Cheryl's drawing Josie, and it looks just like the picture that was left with the pig's heart. So everyone's like, oh shit, it was Cheryl who did all this. But to me, I feel like it's Cheryl, but I still feel like it's the fucking janitor who did something. So let's get into Betty and Veronica's. Now their storyline was pretty funny actually. So like it goes back to when Jughead and Betty was laying in bed together. And so Betty is still reeling like, how the fuck did Black Hood get into the freaking sheriff's office and kill the Candyman? Like she's just reeling and like thinking, like she's trying to connect the fucking dots. So the next day she's talking to Kevin and Veronica, and Kevin is just like, my dad is just, people think that he sucks at his job. So Veronica and Betty is just having a discussion together, and Veronica thinks that Sheriff Keller is having an affair, that's why his head is not in the fucking game. And then Betty is like, he's the Black Hood. And they both are like, what? Like, how does these connect? And so Betty is so hell-bent on proving that Sheriff Keller is Black Hood, and Veronica is hell-bent on figuring out if Sheriff Keller is having a fucking affair. And when I heard that he was having an affair, I was like, where's his wife? I really thought that, just like how Archie's dad and mom is like not together, I thought that's what was going on with Sheriff Keller and his wife. Veronica makes a plan to go sleep over at Kevin's house, basically to comfort him because, you know, his dad been going through it. So Betty interviews Sheriff Keller and is like, how do you think that, you know, the Black Hood got into the sheriff's office? And shit, Sheriff Keller is like, this happened, okay? You know, he kicked in the door, or he jammed the door or something like that. Basically, he got in, sneaking in, and one of the officers was asleep on the job and shit like that. And Betty's like, okay. She ain't believing him. So the night that Veronica and Kevin has a sleepover, you come to find out that Kevin is a little nerd because he plays a little Dungeons and Dragons. I was like, okay, I see you. Betty was kind of mad, like, how dare you have a sleepover without me when we're trying to like prove some shit. Veronica's like, well, I just wanted to be there for our friend. So Betty tells Veronica to go like snoop for her, since she ain't there, go snoop around the house. So Veronica's snooping a little. She goes downstairs and she finds Sheriff Keller with all his sweaty glory. He's like, oh, Veronica, and she's like, oh, hi, Mr. Keller. And you know, they have a little discussion. She's like, wow, you're very in shape. And he's like, yeah, I gotta keep in shape to keep up with, you know, the bad guys and blah, blah, blah. Betty's still not buying that, you know, Sheriff Keller didn't know how the fucking Black Hood got in and all that shit. So the next day, she goes to Kevin's house when everyone's gone and tries to, you know, snoop around a little bit. So he catches Betty and he calls Betty's dad while they were basically like, oh, well, we'll keep this on the down low. We're not going to tell Kevin what happened. But he did give her evidence that he was not around when all the crimes happened. And Betty's still not buying it. She like, you could, you know, all these logs, you could have, you know, doctored it, like, okay. So she's still not convinced. So her and Veronica have a stakeout in front of Kevin's house. And they watch as Sheriff Keller leaves, because Veronica saw the night that they had the sleepover, she saw him leave, and she like, where the fuck is he going? So as they're having the stakeout, they see him leave, and they're like, okay, so let's follow him. So they follow him to this motel. I'm like, oh, okay, what the fuck is he doing at a motel? And of course Betty's first mind is like, oh no, he's about to kill somebody. Like, he's the Black Hood, he's about to kill somebody. So they get out the car and they're sneaking towards, and I was like, please don't, please don't. And lo and behold, guess who he meets? Y'all, guess who he meets up with? Mayor McCoy. And I had this like sneaky suspicion that something was going on with it. And now I see why both of them suck at their freaking job. So in the end, all of their stories kind of match up. Archie is sitting by himself because Jughead leaves. Archie's basically reeling about all the shit that just happened between him and Jughead. Betty and Veronica is just sitting and they're discussing that they're just not gonna tell Kevin about what just happened, you know, because they don't want to break his heart, you know. And then Cheryl and Josie is sitting at a booth, and Cheryl's comforting Josie about what just occurred with her. And all of a sudden, Pops get a phone call, and guess who's on the phone, you guys? Can I hear some guesses? Yeah, it was the Black Hood, y'all. The Black Hood basically says they failed his test and the reckoning is upon them. Well, that's it for this recap, and I am so excited for this week because my boy FP is getting out, and I miss his face. I miss FP, okay? So I'm so excited for this week. But if you enjoyed this, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel where I post 4 days a week. Also follow me on all my social media links, my Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram. They're all linked down below. I post regularly on all those good stuff. And remember, I do live tweet during Riverdale, so please follow me on my Twitter so you can follow along while I react to these freaking episodes. But other than that, I guess I'm gonna see you guys later. Bye.